Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We're glad you're here for today's webinar, Plan for the Unexpected, Travel Insurance for Alumni. I'm Greg Berry, Director of Communications in the Office of Alumni Affairs. A disclaimer, as with any virtual event, occasional technical hiccups may occur. If you experience any video or audio issues, simply click reconnect or refresh your screen to return to the presentation quickly. Just a heads up, we are recording today's webinar. Our live audience will get an email with the link once it's ready. Before we get into it, let's start off with a quick question to get everybody warmed up. And be honest, how often do you actually buy travel insurance? Do you purchase insurance every trip you take? Only when you're going on a major or international trip? Maybe you get some every now and then or never. You're just kind of curious. I'm going to admit I'm falling in that second part, only when I'm going on a major or international trip. While you're finishing up the poll, I want to share a quick look at some incredible opportunities we have coming up. This fall, you can escape to the landscapes of lighthouses of coastal Maine or chase the northern lights in Iceland in December. If you're looking for holiday magic a little closer to home, we also have our Montreal and Quebec City Christmas. Next year brings more adventures, a warm weather Hawaiian getaway in January, the charm of Irish splendor just before St. Patrick's Day, and the stunning fjords and rail journeys of our Highlights of Norway tour in June. We also have two more that aren't on here that are still coming. We'll get those information out once they're available to be released. You can discover more about these trips by visiting alumni.uab.edu/travel. Today, we're excited to have Angel Ramos and Velez joining us from our travel insurance partner, USI. Angel has been with USI since 2016 and is a client manager. He's been a certified travel counselor since 1991. Wes stepped into the travel industry in 2017 and is a customer service supervisor. Now, before revealing the poll results, a quick note on our travel insurance. While our trips prioritize your comfort and safety, unexpected events can happen. That's why we're here. We recommend considering coverage like the travel insurance plan from USI. You can discover more at alumni.uab.edu/travel protection. We'll have that again later on in today's webinar. Meanwhile, here are those poll results. Be honest. How often do you actually buy travel insurance? It looks like 56% are very similar to me. They only buy for major or international journeys. 17% rarely, 13% both every trip or never, which is very interesting. And thanks for sharing those responses to our audience. Before tossing things over to our guests, we'd like to ask one more follow-up. When you think about travel insurance, what's your top priority? On your screen with the poll, you should be seeing trip cancellation or interruptions of coverage, medical coverage while traveling, protection for personal belongings, protection for your personal belongings, 24/7 travel assistance, or getting reimbursed quickly. Go ahead, make your selection. We'll share the results in the chat for you. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to the other guys. Let's hear from them finally. Angel, Wes, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you very much, Greg. We appreciate it. Thanks for inviting us over. So I would just begin a little bit here with an introduction of our business. So USI Travel Insurance Services began in 1973, and we're headquartered outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We're a leader in the educational travel market. We serve hundreds of alumni associations and nonprofit educational travel, such as UAB. Although much of our focus is helping organizations, our plan are also available to the public. So you may buy this plan for any trip you take, including personal travel. Keep that in mind as we continue today. So I'll just jump right in a little bit and talk about this particular travel protection plan. And at its core, travel insurance is designed to cover the times when things go wrong and problems arise. Most travel insurance policies usually bundle the following three types of coverage into one comprehensive policy, which is financial reimbursement for trip cancellation, interruptions, and delay in situations arising from conditions such as illness or bad weather, and for baggage loss or delay. Medical insurance and medical evacuation coverage in case you become ill or are injured while traveling. We also have the 24-hour assistance line to help find doctors, help arrange accommodations, contact your family, or other assistance in case of emergency. One of the biggest misconceptions about travel insurance is that it will cover any disruption or mishap you encounter. Travel insurance is designed to cover specific instances, and there are terms and conditions to the benefits. That's why it's essential to read the policy you're buying so you can understand your coverage. Now, keep in mind, travel insurance is highly regulated by the state departments of insurance, so these confines will apply to any travel insurance provided on the market. Here's some questions to ask to determine if travel insurance may be helpful to you. Can I afford the financial risk of losing my vacation investment if something goes wrong due to illness, weather, or other unforeseen situations? If I have to cut my trip short because of an emergency, can I afford the cost of a return airline trip home? Does my health insurance cover me away from home and in foreign countries if I become ill or am injured while traveling? If my bags are lost or I have to spend an extra night because of weather-related problems, can I afford to buy replacement necessities and pay for extra lodging? If you answered no to any of the above questions, chances are that travel insurance may be a wise investment. So now we'll talk a little bit about the Select plan to understand how it helps you. So let's take a moment and look at the benefits on our travel insurance plan. The Select plan offers 3 levels depending on your budget and the level of coverage you seek. This table shows the primary benefits, just like trip interruption, trip cancellation, baggage delay, and the most important, which I usually believe, it's the emergency medical evacuation and medical expenses. All of our plans include a 24/7 emergency and travel assistance service. You can call from anywhere in the world and speak to someone with any questions or concern you have, including assistance with refilling a lost prescription, finding a doctor, replacing a lost or stolen passport, making itinerary changes, filing a claim, and more. If your travel plans are appended, the assistance company can help you make alternative arrangements, such as booking a hotel near the airport if your flight is delayed. So travel is always, as we know, especially nowadays, is very unpredictable. But since the pandemic and now uncertainty in various parts of the world have made us particularly aware of this reality. While we should still travel and explore the world with enthusiasm, it's a good idea to be prepared for the unexpected when we plan a trip. That's, of course, where travel insurance comes in, and especially the optional travel cancel for any reason upgrade, which has surged in popularity in the past few years. Cancel for any reason, or as we call it, CFAR, is exactly as the name says. It allows you to cancel your trip for any reason at all and still be reimbursed for most of your trip costs. This is the only benefit that covers the fear of travel or any reason for canceling your trip outside of those listed on the travel insurance plan. Cancel for any reason can give you the maximum flexibility and protection for circumstances that you may otherwise not be covered for by the insurance. The elite level of our Select plan offers the CFAR upgrade, provided you buy your plan early, which I'll share more on the eligibility and terms in just a few moments. Our Select plan Elite also offers an upgrade called Interruption for Any Reason, or IFAR, which would offer additional protection after your trip departs. So the CFAR benefit allows you to cancel your trip for literally any reason, as I mentioned, at all, and still reimburse for 75% of your prepaid non-refundable trip expenses. If you would like to add the CFAR upgrade to your travel insurance plan, you would expect to pay about 40 to 50% more in premium than the standard plan cost. This is true for any plan on the market. So to purchase the cancel for any reason upgrade, you must choose the elite plan and choose the 𝘂𝑟 upgrade option when you purchase your travel insurance. You cannot add it later on. You must buy your policy within 21 days of making your initial trip deposit or payment, whether that's reserving space on a tour, booking a flight or vacation rental, or any other non-refundable expense. And to file a claim with the 𝘂𝑟 benefit, you need to cancel your trip with your travel planner at least 2 days before your scheduled departure date, and then contact USI or the claims administrator to begin the claims process. The elite level of the select plan also offers, as I mentioned, the companion upgrade called interruption for any reason, or 𝘂𝑟, which would offer additional protection after your trip departs. If you buy the optional 𝘂𝑟 upgrade, your plan will automatically include the 𝘂𝑟 as well. It's not additional to the 𝘂𝑟. It comes with that package. The 𝘂𝑟 benefit makes this plan especially attractive as it's not available in most travel insurance plans. As previously mentioned, the uncertainty around the world has increased demand for the 𝘂𝑟 benefit in recent years. Depending on the plan, up to 30% of plans we sell include the 𝘂𝑟 benefit. So to purchase your plan early. So as with many travel insurance plans from any company, there are certain benefits that are only available if you purchase the plan shortly after you make your initial trip deposit. These include the following: the cancel for any reason and interruption for any reason upgrade, as previously mentioned, and the pre-existing medical condition waiver, which we'll discuss in a few minutes. The eligibility of these early purchase benefits varies by plan, but the industry standard is generally 10 to 21 days after making your initial payment. Our travel insurance select plan has a 21-day window to purchase and be eligible for these benefits. Even if you miss the early purchase window, it's best to buy your plan as soon as possible because your trip cancellation coverage is effective immediately. So if something were to happen that will cause you to cancel your trip, you would need to have your plan effective prior to that taking place. Another important reason to buy your plan early is to be covered in the event of weather, or in order to be covered for, let's say, a hurricane or storm or any other major storm event or natural disaster, you must buy your plan before the storm is named or the natural disaster begins. Once the storm is named, it is considered a foreseen event, and you will not be eligible to make a claim if you bought your plan after that time. So if you are past the early purchase deadline already, but still want travel insurance for your trip, you can buy your plan up until the day before departure, but keep in mind that early purchase advantages won't apply. So as mentioned on a previous slide, most insurance policies exclude the coverage for pre-existing conditions. If you purchase the Plus or the Elite plan levels within 21 days of making your initial trip deposit, the exclusion in the policy related to pre-existing condition is waived entirely, giving you the best access to medical benefits. The exact definition and time period of what is considered pre-existing will vary by plan. On our select plan, the pre-existing means any illness, disease, or other condition during the 60-day period immediately prior to your plan effective date, for which medical tests, examinations, or treatment was recommended or received by you, your travel companion, business partner, or family member. Sickness or conditions are not considered pre-existing if the sickness or condition for which prescribed drugs or medicine is taken remains controlled without any change in the required prescription throughout the entire 60-day period, ending on the effective date and no medical advice, diagnosis, care, or treatment has otherwise been received. With a lot of travel delays and cancellations and other upheaval making the news in the past even several days, many travelers have increased concern about baggage loss, damage, or delay. The Select plan features a baggage and personal effects benefit and a baggage delay benefit. The baggage and personal effects benefit allows up to $2,500 on the Elite plan if your baggage or belongings are lost, stolen, damaged, or destroyed during your trip. The baggage delay benefit allows up to $500 in reimbursement on the Elite plan for you to buy necessary personal items like clothing, toiletries, prescriptions, eyewear, etc. And if your baggage is delayed for 12 hours or more by your airline or other common carrier. There are some exclusions to what these benefits cover and stipulations. So as always, we recommend that you read the full policy or call our customer service team for assistance. So as you're planning for future trips, there are a few questions to ask yourself or our plan or our customer service team when shopping for travel insurance coverage, whether you plan to use our plan or research other plans. Does the destination have any specific insurance requirements? Do you have any pre-existing conditions, and are they covered by the plan? And are you planning any special activities, or will you have equipment that needs to be covered? And is cancel for any reason coverage still available? So here I want to know what the policy looks like so you can have an idea. So after you purchase the insurance, you will receive plan information, including a copy of your insurance policy. It can be confusing to understand a bit, so I want to just take a few moments to show you the key sections of a travel insurance policy. The policy shown on these two slides are the Travel Insurance Select documents, but other travel insurance policies generally include the same sections. On the number one shows the schedule of benefits, which will appear on one of the first few pages of the policy. This details each benefit included and the maximum benefit limit for each. Number two is the plan coverage. This section gives you all the details you need to know for each benefit, including when and how the benefit can be triggered and if there are time limits or other conditions to the coverage. And number three is the covered reasons. Under each benefit, there will be a list of named perils or situations in which the coverage would take effect. If something happens that does not fall within that list of covered reasons, you generally would not be eligible for a claim for that benefit. Two more important sections of the policy are shown here. On number one, as you see to your left, is the plan exclusions. This section will list everything that is not covered by the insurance policy. For example, some policies have recently added a pandemic exclusion, but you'll see here that ours does not limit the coverage in this way. And then number two is the claims and travel assistance information. This is always good to keep handy in case a question or situation arises before or during your trip and you need assistance. If you need to file a claim, and here's a chart showing the general processes. It's always helpful before filing a claim to know what to expect. And this slide has some valuable information for the claims process. This information is pulled from our claims guide. The guide details the documentation needed to file different types of claims. The more complete information you can provide up front, the more efficient your claims process will be. And this image shows you what the Select website homepage looks like. From this site, in addition to getting a quote and buying your plan, you can view policies, see the plan details, and get answers to the plan's FAQs. Then how to get your plan. If you like what you've learned today so far, I invite you to visit our Select Plan website to get a quick free quote anytime or buy your plan online. You can visit my.travelinsure.com/UAB. In the quote box on the homepage, complete the fields. You'll see the field for initial deposit date. This is the very important because it's the one that determines whether or not you have access to the early purchase benefits like CFAR, IFAR, and the pre-existing exclusion waiver. Otherwise, the quote process is straightforward. If you want to include several people on your policy, you can add multiple travelers on the quote as you move through the process. You are also encouraged to call our customer service team to speak with one of our licensed representatives. They can answer any questions, provide quotes, and handle enrollments over the phone. And as I'm sure, probably many of you have specific questions about the plan and what may or may not be covered. So before we open it up to the Q&A, we'll share some common questions that we've gotten in the past. Please note these responses apply only to our Select Plan. If you're looking at other plans, you'll have to read the policy or ask the provider specifically, as every plan is different. So to begin, it's the what if a family member or traveling companion gets sick. In this case, we'll use COVID or any other illness before or during the trip. Will you have coverage? The answer would be trip cancellation and interruption coverage may apply in the instance, including for COVID, as COVID would be treated like any other sickness. Emergency medical coverage and emergency medical evacuation coverage would also apply if you became sick while on your trip. But as with any other sickness, to be eligible for a claim, you would need to have a note from a physician saying you are medically unable to travel. For example, as we saw over the past few years, a positive at-home COVID test alone will not be enough to support a claim. And then to file a claim, you would contact the claims administrator listed on the confirmation of the coverage document to report your claim and complete the necessary paperwork. And should I insure my airfare cost? If your airfare is subject to cancellation penalty or restriction, which most are, we recommend that you insure it. You should include 100% of your airfare cost that is subject to cancellation penalties or restrictions. If you use frequent flyer miles, those cannot be insured. And if you purchase a fully refundable ticket, those should not be insured. And what happens if my flight is canceled? In the event of flight cancellation, the following covered unforeseen reasons in the plan would allow you to be reimbursed for non-refundable trip payments if service is completely stopped for 24 hours. Whether it's a mechanical breakdown or equipment failure of your airplane, provided no alternate travel arrangements are available, an unannounced strike, or an inclement weather. What happens if there's an unrest or uncertainty in my destination country or in a country nearby and I don't feel comfortable taking my trip? Can I cancel my trip and file a claim? Well, our plan coverage includes the trip cancellation if a terrorist incident covers within 30 days of your departure date in a city listed on the scheduled itinerary of your trip. For any scenario that falls outside this coverage for a terrorist incident, you would need to have CFAR coverage. So as we know, when it started in October 2023, some travelers want to take planned trips to Egypt, especially with the situation going on now, and with the Palestine and Israel, travel insurance would not cover the cancellation since terrorism covered outside the city on your itinerary. It's not covered, sorry about that, outside a city or country on your itinerary. Travel insurance does not cover the fear of traveling. This is why you must have CFAR for your plan. And if I plan to travel on my own or after a sponsored tour, may I insure this portion of my trip? And the answer is yes. In fact, we strongly encourage you to cover your entire trip from the moment you leave your home until the time you return your home. Include all your prepaid non-refundable expenses as part of the trip cost you list on your enrollment form. Also, be sure to include your specific travel dates when you enter your departure and return dates. In covering the single supplement, so if your companion does not decide not to or cannot travel, would you still go on the trip? You still plan to go on the trip? Will the insurance pay for the cost of your single supplement? The answer would be yes. If you will be reimbursed up to the maximum benefit amount for the additional costs resulting from a change in the per person occupancy rate for prepaid non-refundable travel. If a person booked to share accommodations with you cancels or interrupts his or her trip due to a covered unforeseen reason or other covered events shown on the trip cancellation and trip interruption section, and you do not cancel or interrupt your trip. What happens if your tour operator cancels your trip? We can accommodate you by moving your trip dates or by issuing a voucher for a future trip so you don't lose the money you paid on your premium. If your trip is changed or canceled by your travel supplier, we recommend you contact us right away to see your options. If you choose to cancel your trip, but the travel supplier will still run the trip, our team can help you determine if you are eligible to file a claim for reimbursement, either as a covered reason or through the CFAR benefit on your policy. And as there's always different questions depending on different scenarios, and I can't address them all here, I will point out to you our plan FAQ page on our website. This page has extensive list of common customer questions. You can also contact our customer service team if you have any specific questions. One more thing finally before we go back to the Q&A. We also offer our Voyager, which is our annual insurance plan. This plan allows you to pay for 1 year of coverage, and the plan covers you anytime you travel 100 or more miles from your home during that year. The plan offers emergency medical evacuation, baggage coverage, and with the higher plan level, several other benefits, including trip interruption. Unfortunately, this plan does not cover trip cancellation or CFAR. And I do apologize for the lengthy slides, but I appreciate you taking the time and letting me go through it. I'll send this back to Greg and see if anybody has any Q&As.
Fantastic. And if you do have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We'll be monitoring that for our guests today. I'm going to kick things off. I mentioned the trips that we have coming up through our group travel program. How does this insurance work parallel with group travel opportunities? Is it rather seamless?
When you say group travel opportunities,
through Colette, through different companies like that, because they also offer their own insurance. Can you buy insurance through USI to cover those types of trips?
Yes, you buying the insurance through USI, although we partner, as you know, with UAB, each traveler could purchase their own policies, even for their own individual trips. We protect the individual. We're not protecting the institution. So that's why they can purchase whenever they want for whatever trip.
So in today's climate with the government shutdowns, TSA has been affected from time to time. And talked to somebody in my office just before this who's talking about getting to the airport in plenty of time. Travel insurance costs, or does it cover if you miss a flight because of those long lines, even if you show up hours and hours early?
That's honest. I have to say, I haven't run into that kind of scenario. I have run into, like, if there is a delay because of long lines, and maybe, like I said, it has to be a mechanical breakdown, or the airport shut down for whatever reason that's going to cause that type of delay. But to add to that note, getting to the airport, usually, as you know, you're driving through the highway and there is an accident and now there's a delay. Is the accident is reportable as, let's say, a 5-car crash, and that caused your delay to the airport, that will be considered to be a covered reason because it's an unforeseen event. Now, I did see someone ask if cruises were covered. So, yes. Remember, again, you're the individual who are covered. You are covered. So if you cannot go on a cruise because you're either sick or a death in the family, God forbid, that will be considered a covered reason for you to cancel the trip and submit a claim for 100% of the cruise. What I say it gets a little bit tricky is it's while you're on the cruise, and I like to use illness and COVID because I know that's one of the big things, where you get sick and let's say the ship doctor says, you need to be quarantined for the rest of the cruise. Unfortunately, because you're still using the cabin, that won't be considered a covered reason because you're still using the cabin. What would be covered is any additional tours you're taking on these cities that you couldn't take because you were sick and quarantined. That will be covered.
What if somebody doesn't know the airline costs at the time the trip is scheduled? This person often purchases a trip, but the airfare later.
Yeah, we know that usually, you buy a trip out, let's say like the ones you show for 2027, it's not, people will buy, you have to wait 6-8 months to buy the airline. You can always insure that later on, and you can always get a quote and see more or less an estimate to have an idea. But you should insure your trip as you go. We recommend that if you only gave a deposit, start by insuring the deposit and then keep adding as you keep paying off the trip.
For UAB retirees, most of them, they have medical insurance. Does this insurance or does your insurance cover medical emergencies for travels in foreign countries?
Yes. Our policies, the medical insurance benefit will cover any kind of medical situation abroad. And the emergency medical evacuation will assist them with any type of hospitalizations and transportations.
What do you think? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because one of the things I do wanted to say, I know with a lot of retirees and getting the home insurance usually does not cover abroad. Always check with your insurance company to see if they offer any international coverage. Some do, because I ran into that once, but they do charge an additional extra just to have coverage abroad. So is it worth it or not? It's something to look into.
So what I was going to ask was, what's the biggest misconception that travelers have about travel insurance?
Well, the claims don't pay out. That insurance companies don't want to pay money. They just want to keep, and I can understand the frustration. Prior to this, as I was a travel agent, so I was very skeptical. I think what's important is to understand is that when you are submitted in claims, you need to have all documentations and receipts handy. That will help the process of the claim quicker. And again, we at USI, one of the things we do is we advocate for your travelers here, Greg, where if there is an issue where your travelers are running through a claims discrepancy or confusion, then we're here to intervene and advocate on their behalf instead of getting all the insurance lingo that could be confusing in itself.
I want to add two more things to that as well to help answer that question. There's one question that comes up very often, and it is essentially, what if I have a travel companion whose family member gets sick and now they can't go? Well, the insurance will cover you if you or your immediate family members get sick with anything unforeseen or injured or worse. But if your traveling companion's family member is not your family member, then you are not covered. If your travel companion is insured, then they will be covered, but you won't. So if you're traveling with a friend and you have a true concern that their family member may, get sick or anything like that, it is a good idea to consider the cancel for any reason benefit, because that will help reimburse you most of your money in such an event. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that most people will automatically think that if the tour is canceled by the tour provider, that they are covered by the plan. Unfortunately, I wish that was true, but it is not covered. So if that is another true concern, especially with all the things going and happening around the world, it is another thing to consider, the cancel for any reason benefit.
So that last question about the common misconception, I want to take that a little bit further in kind of a different direction. So what usually changes somebody's mind into purchasing?
Well, I guess it's everyone's independent scenarios. What are their biggest concerns, and what particularly is based on them. Some people want it because of the pre-existing condition. Some people want it because they do have, concerns of elderly parents. So it's really, I would recommend to reach out to one of the representatives, build the case and scenario. The good thing, again, is our agents were not commission based. So we're not here to really sell and just sell you whatever. We're here to educate you and make sure you make the right decision. As I mentioned on my previous slides, whether you purchase it with us or you purchase it with another provider, it's important to be educated on what you're getting so you don't have any kind of surprises after the fact.
Are there common mistakes people make when purchasing a plan, such as buying too late or choosing the wrong one?
Yeah, choosing the wrong one. I usually see an example would be you're going to London and it's a metropolitan city. So basically, there's no need to buy the elite plan and pay that much higher unless you want the 𝘂𝑚. But the basic plan or the plus plan should be more than suffice because it's not that big of a deal. Just like if you're traveling to Antarctica, going to Galapagos, because there what you want to focus on is more on the emergency evacuation. It's more expensive to evacuate you from Antarctica than it is to evacuate you from London.
And just for our audience, I did drop in the chat the link to find our travel protection plan with USI. What should travelers look for when comparing different travel insurance plans? Because everybody's different, every scenario is different, and every trip's different.
Yeah, well, in most cases, the policy pretty much, it's depending on the underwriter and the insurance company. Some policies have more benefits than others. I would say the important thing is, do they have cancel for any reason? I remember when COVID came, a lot of insurance companies eliminated the 𝘂𝑚, while USI, we still kept our 𝘂𝑚 in our plan. And just do that comparison where what the cost is, what benefits are you getting, and how reliable is that provider I'm buying from. Because the problem I see here, Greg, is not the idea of purchasing. And I use the example, it's like buying shoes or clothes. You might get the same type of brand from different stores and pay different prices, but at the time of getting a refund or getting the service is where it's going to get affected. So is it worth, getting bad service and paying for less, or getting the exceptional service and paying maybe a little bit more and working that way?
So the 24/7 assistance services team, what does that actually do during a trip?
Well, it has, they have interpreters. So for you're in a country where you don't speak the language, they're there to do that. They're also, in the event of, if there is a hospitalization, they would work with the doctor directly, where there is no cost out of pocket for the hospitalization in the time you're there. They would assist you or your traveling companion getting a hotel while the person is in the hospital, transportations, nearby pharmacies, getting medication. So they pretty much work with everything you need.
John asks, is there a benefit for being a UAB alumni? Which I think there is, and I think I know the answer to this next question. Does it apply only for UAB alumni trips or any trip I take? I think I know, I'm pretty sure I know, but I'm
Go
gonna
for
give
it,
you the answer.
Greg. Go for it, Greg. What's the answer?
Yes, it applies for any
Yes.
trip you want to take.
The good thing is, because you are an alumni with UAB, you can buy the trip whether you're on a sponsored trip with UAB or you're going on your own. If you go on your own and you used UAB's website, the beauty about it is Greg is always on the know, because I do send him a list of travelers who purchase policies. And if you go through any situation or need assistance because you are and you registered through the UAB site, we're here to advocate on your behalf, because that's what we do. That's the idea of having the partnership with UAB, is to take care of you as a traveler and make sure your process and your, it's going smoothly the way it should be.
Is repatriation covered from outside the country? This is required by some European travel companies.
Yes, it is.
Perfect. And the final question.
I'm sorry, go ahead, because I had another one to add to that one.
Go ahead.
Aside from that, if you have any solo travelers, people who are traveling on their own, and God forbid they're in a hospital in a foreign country, it also offers companions back home. So what they'll do is they'll reach out and they have that additional benefit that they can bring a family member from the States to keep them company.
And the last question that I'll ask, unless we see anything get dropped into the chat, is what are the maximum claim amounts for CFARs? This person has seen policies that are capped at $10K.
Well, with our select plan, no. Our select plan, it covers, God West, help me out here, 120,000 max trip costs. So
a little better. The elite plan covers up to, well, actually, I think you're right. If you take the 75% into consideration, but overall, if you just insure and you file a claim under a regular reason, you're covered up to $150,000 per person maximum with the elite. That's the max amount you can claim. With CFAR, it's a 75% reimbursement of whatever amounts you insured up to that cap
maximum. Correct. Mm-hmm. So we don't have that. I know a lot of them have like 10,000. Anything above that, you can't. No, we cover 75% of whatever your trip cost limit was, your total trip cost.
Right. Our other plan levels do offer a cap on maximum coverage per person. For example, the basic can cover a trip cost of up to $15,000 per person, which is, I think, is still a pretty generous amount. But anything more expensive than $15,000 per person, we will recommend the Plus or the Elite plan.
And then another thing to take, and I've seen this with other plans, is they do have an age limit cap. A lot of plans do not cover anyone at a certain age, let's say 80 on up. We do not have an age limit, so you can be 100 years old and still be able to buy a policy.
Fantastic. Great information, Wes and Angel. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's a lot. Like I said, I encourage everybody to call our representatives, because everybody's scenario is a little bit different. So we're always here to help. Happy to assist.
Fantastic.
Definitely happy to be here. Thank you.
And if you're interested in more, go ahead, scroll up in the chat, click that link. It'll take you to an external site on our actual website with more details. Just a quick note for today's audience, the webinar was recorded. Once it's uploaded on our website, we'll get an email together with the link so you can revisit the session or share it with others. Before we go, let's highlight the travel insurance program. This is kind of it in a nutshell. Safeguard your plans with coverage for cancellations, medical needs, baggage issues, and 24/7 assistance. It's a simple way to add extra peace of mind as you look ahead to that next adventure. And you can discover more at alumni.uab.edu/travel protection. As for the next upcoming webinars, find out more about our travel opportunities with Colette next Tuesday. This is very timely. During Global Getaways, UAB Alumni Travel Preview, we'll explore 4 upcoming trips through our partnership with Colette Travel, and may sneak in 2 more kind of pre-previews of a couple of trips we have for late 2027. Come back on March 25th for the 3rd part of our 4-part leadership series, as Dr. Alan Gorman returns for Inclusive Leadership, Building Cultures of Belonging. On April 22nd, Dr. Matthew Scherer will close down that series with Leading Infinitely, Building Teams, Trust, and Vision. And finally, join us May 13th for Fueling Discoveries, Libraries at the Heart of Learning, as we share how libraries are central to lifelong learning and community engagement. Register for all of these and more by visiting alumni.uab.edu/events. As we wrap up, we'd love to hear from you. Your feedback helps us improve and shape future webinar topics. Just scan the QR code on your screen to access a brief survey and share your thoughts. Once again, thanks so much for joining us. And as always, go Blazers.